Well, hello there, and welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And you are the key person, the person we wait for, we long for, we want to call in. So please make your call today to Take Two, because we have a very exciting topic to talk about, Jerry. Discerning your vocation. Discernment, a proper discernment is key to really finding the path that God is calling you to, and discerning your vocation. It's exciting topic. Jerry's going to share about his own path to the formation for the priesthood. Oh, I just love this. Here is the number 833-288-3986. Hey, Jer.
Hey, Deb. Yeah, well, it's something important. I've always said, every single one of us created by God, every human being who comes into this world has the moral obligation to, as I put it, ask the question. And that question is, Lord, what did you create me for? So if you are in the midst of discerning a vocation right now, maybe not sure where God is calling you, maybe you have been down that path of praying about, God, what is it that you want me to do with my life to best serve you? And you figured it out. Maybe you figured it out already. Maybe you're married, you've been married. Maybe we'd love to hear from priests or seminarians or religious brothers and sisters, deacons, people, again, who are married. Or again, especially if you're just in that place right now where you're discerning, you're praying, you're maybe a young adult, maybe a late teen, maybe you're a little bit older in life. Debbie alluded to my return to priestly formation at the age of 62, which I'm doing right now as I'm in residence at the Basilica of St. Paul in Daytona Beach, Florida. So all of these things are fair game today, and we can't have a show without you. Remember that. 833-288-3986.
So discerning your vocation, how did you do it? Are you in the process of that? Do you want to know that maybe some steps, some spiritual tools to work on a proper, healthy, balanced discernment and getting the help around you for that, to bounce things off of? Very important steps and process to the discernment arena, because I will tell you, a lot of people will say, I discern this. And I'll say, well, what did you do? They say, well, I said a couple prayers. Well, it's more than that. Okay, discernment, it's a longer process, and it's a time when you can really learn about yourself. You can bring in some spiritual direction would really help, and also maybe even some life coaching or some counseling, because that helps as well. So here is the number. Please dial in. Oh, there goes the phone. So Matt Kabinski is already busy. Charles Beery's at the controls, and Michael McCall's on social media. Jerry and I are waving to you guys. You got the chats going. I know Tim Mateo got something up there on the board already. Here is the number, 833-288-3986, and tell us about your vocation and how you arrived at that. What do they say? Mark Twain says is 2 most important days of your life: the day you were born and the day you find out why. I say there's 3 important days: the day you were born, the day you find out why, and the day that you meet the Lord.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you really want to get prepared for that as well.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Timoteo. Timoteo said, I am discerning something. I have exceeded the age limit for the priesthood and the religious life. Well, Timoteo, I might have something to say about that. Like I said, re-entering priestly formation at the age of 62, and I made a visit to Pope St. John the 23rd National Seminary near Boston, which is where a lot of dioceses and religious orders send their older vocations, later vocations. And one archdiocese actually just had a gentleman enter into first-year theology. There's 4 years of theology, and he entered first-year theology, I think, at the age of 72. So he could feasibly be ordained at 75, 76 years old. So, Timoteo, I wouldn't say it's necessarily behind you. Maybe in your own mind and heart you've put that to rest, and if you have, it's a beautiful thing. But as Debbie knows so well, I thought I had put that to rest, and lo and behold, the Lord brought that back around in my life about 1.5 years ago. So we will see for how he does that with others.
And we're all very excited about that. The Take Two family likes to journey with you, Jerry, and so we like the details. And so how's it going in the pastoral year?
Going fantastic, yeah. Winding down, got a couple more months here at the Basilica, and orientation starts at the seminary in Boston around August 12th. Mm-hmm. And by God's grace and the goodwill of the Bishop John Noonan and our vocation director, Father Josh, if they all deem me fit to go there, then I'll be there for the start of orientation, August 12th.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
so.
good. Very cool. And so that's exciting. So we'll be staying along with Jerry on that, and that's a fun process that you're going through. And at this time of your life, I think you appreciate it much more, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's important. And that's part of the whole discerning process. So we have a couple of phone lines open just for you. Matt would like to pick up those lines and say hello to you. He'll chat with you for a few minutes. You get to listen live. And then he'll put you on hold. You get to listen live and you'll slip right into the discussion. We're talking about discerning your vocation today. So please tell us about what's going on in your life, or maybe you know of somebody else you'd like to talk about and their path into what they found to be where God is calling them, whether it's maybe, I just heard of somebody recently that they never ever thought they would make a good father, and they ended up praying about it, and they had some good counsel, and they eventually they found the right mate, and they got married, and now they're on, I think, their third child.
Oh my, praise God.
Yeah, and he's loving it. So it's kind of interesting. So that's how it happens with vocations, but we need to hear from you. 833-288-3986.
Maybe you just want to talk about the whole idea of vocation in general. It comes from the Latin word vocare, meaning to call. Like I said earlier, God creates every person for a specific purpose, plan, vocation. If we don't get it absolutely right, is God going to cut it? No, of course not. God will work with anything. But the thing is, a vocation is a calling to priesthood, a calling to marriage, a calling to religious life, maybe a calling to the single life. If you want to just know a little bit more about this whole notion of living your life, being open, being receptive to whatever it is that God is calling you to, we can talk nuts and bolts about this as well. Or again, specifics, if you or someone you know is in that vocational discernment process. Maybe you have a son or a daughter who's discerning a religious or priestly vocation right now, or they just keep saying, Mom, Dad, I just can't wait to get married and have a big family. We can talk about your loved ones as well. 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. Talking with you today, Take Two Family, about discerning a vocation. Get on the line. Let us hear from you.
Family, during each day of May, let us sing the Magnificat with Mary. And let us begin each day by greeting her, our travel companion. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Help me to experience this day the Lord's nearness to me through you.
EWTN Radio is seeking a dynamic radio producer to join the EWTN radio team in Irondale, Alabama. The right candidate will be a passionate, multi-skilled, talented professional who can manage and direct all aspects of producing world-class programming and play an integral part in Mother Angelica's mission. If this is you or someone you know, email a resume and cover letter, including salary requirements, to humanresources@EWTN.com.
This is Kristalina Everett. I'm talking about Catholic marriage and family in the 21st century on Women Made New. Saturday, noon Eastern on EWTN Radio.
This is Father Timothy Vaverick. We need to go to confession because we're sinners. Confession is the sacrament of penance. Whenever we sin, we ought immediately acknowledge that sin and ask pardon of the Lord. But we should also form the intention, especially if we've committed mortal sin, to come to the Lord in the sacrament to receive His grace, because we're always in need of growing deeper in His love.
Broadcasting the way, the truth, and the life. This is EWTN.
Do you feel you're living out your vocation in life? We'd like to hear from you. You don't have to be Catholic to call in. There's some open phone lines just for you. You'll get right in and just talk about this idea of really living your best life and doing what God has called you to do. And you jump out of bed in the morning and you feel really fantastic about it. You feel like maybe you work for the church. Maybe there's something of that. Maybe you're a deacon. Talk about that. A mother, a father. You're dedicated to ministry work, all sorts of things. I mean, it's really incredible how vocations go across the board in many different levels, many different directions. But before we go to the phones, Jerry, let me share with our listeners about Roku. Okay, so do you Roku? Roku allows you to instantly stream EWTN to your TV. All you need is a high-speed internet connection, a TV, and the Roku player. For more information, visit EWTN.com/Roku. I actually Roku. I love it.
Do you?
Yeah. Do you Roku?
I do not. No,
it's
I
really
haven't gotten
cool.
into Roku yet.
My sister loves it too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. We do have a couple open phone lines. What do you think about that?
Well, I think they will be filled right now because the Take Two family, you always make this show the best that it could be, the most impactful and the most participated in that it can be. And so if you want one of those two open lines, 833-288-3986, talking about discerning a vocation. If you're doing that right now, maybe that's been put to rest for you. Tell us how you feel about living the life, the vocation that you chose. Has that given you peace and joy in your heart? And because we always tell you on this show, what you have to say is going to impact a lot of people. So join us here at 833-288-3986. And we will go to Phil first in Racine, Wisconsin. And Phil is listening on WSFI. Good afternoon, Phil.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Well, I'm in my car here, and I listened to something that hit me. I'm 74 years old. I always feel like I was too dumb. I always wanted to be a priest. I was an altar boy at 10, and then my mom said, well, you better not become a priest. There's a lot more out there, and sure enough, there was. But anyhow, how would I go about possibly? I mean, I'm not too smart. That's why I always figured I couldn't go to a school to become a priest. Is there anything I can do?
I'm looking something up right here. There is actually, Phil, there is a seminary not too far from you. It's I'm looking. It looks like it's about 45 minutes. Are you familiar with Hales Corner, Wisconsin?
Yes, sir. Yep.
There is a seminary there. I think it's called Sacred Heart, and it is one of the 3 or 4 seminaries in the United States that was founded for the purpose of welcoming and ordaining older men, like yourself, like myself. I mentioned I'm 62. 74, I don't know. Like I said, at the seminary that I may be going to this fall, they just had a gentleman start. This was his first year. He's in his 70s, and he'll have 3 more years to go after that. So that's something you might want to do. You might want to contact Sacred Heart Seminary in Hales Corner, Pope St. John the 23rd in Boston. It's psjs.edu. But just look up Pope St. John 23rd Seminary. Is it too late for you? I would say, in God's grand scheme of things, Phil, I would say perhaps not. It depends on a lot of factors. Obviously, you have to be, actually there's a seminary of Holy Apostles in Connecticut where you could go. And some men go there and they pay their own, expenses, but they have to be sponsored by a bishop by the time they get out of their 4th year of theology. So there are some things there. If you want to email me, Phil, we could chat a little bit more about it. It's take2@EWTN.com. Debbie, I don't know if you've got anything you want to add, but
no, I think that's beautiful that you still have that inside of you, Phil. And I would encourage you to do exactly what Jerry said and to reach out and email him. But also, if it turns out that age is a factor, maybe there's other things you can do at the parish and assist in liturgy and other things. There's an elderly man at my parish that is constantly, he's a sacristan and really helps out in all sorts of ways with the priest. He loves it. It's fascinating to watch him because he's so active. Some people actually think he's a priest, and it's kind of interesting. They go up to him before they go up to the priest to ask questions because he knows everything. But he's enjoying it and he loves it. So I wouldn't let it affect you when you made the comment, I'm not, maybe I can't, absorb all those classes or whatever, something of that nature. Phil, you don't have to do that. I don't think that's necessary. I think that if you really are called to do something for the Lord and building up the kingdom, the Lord will make a way. You will get the right classes, education, credentialing, anything you need. It just, that's the way our Lord works. What do you say, Phil?
I think it's got to be, because I don't want to go into a all-day talk, but yes, I mean, all my life was bad, and God's always been with me. And there's something. 5 years ago, I was telling Father Patrick, I think it was, I was an alcoholic all my life till 5 years ago, and I had a vision, and it was the devil, and it was my face, and I screamed out God 3 times, and I've never had a drink or a shake since that day,
Praise God.
and I never will. I think of God, every time there is any urge. But anyhow, I think that's what I'm going to do, is get a hold of Sacred Heart and Hale's Corner.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Good.
And you can be assured of our prayers, Phil, and I reiterate the offer to email if you would like to do that. Our email is take2@ewtn.com. But as a listener to this program, Phil, you've got a worldwide audience listenership to Take Two family praying for you in this. So I hope that you feel that support buoying you as you maybe at least look into this a little bit. Okay, Phil? Hope you feel supported there.
Tears of joy. Thank you so much.
All right. God bless you. Wow. Wouldn't
Thanks,
that be
Phil.
something?
Yeah, I think it's great. I love how God works. And it's always, that's why I share with people. I did adult faith formation for 10 years, and I think I've shared this before. Some of my regular attendees were in their 80s, late 80s, and I would drill it into them every week. Why are you here? We know we're going to be formed in the faith until we take our last breath. I said, exactly. You should think that an age stops you from growing and doing what God has called you to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Talking about discerning a vocation today, 833-288-3986. We need you on that open phone line that Phil was on there. If you would like to join us, 833-288-3986. We're going to go to John in Kansas City, Missouri, listening on the Catholic Radio Network. Welcome, John. Thanks for calling.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. So I'm a new listener. I called in actually about a month ago when it was coming back to the Catholic Church, which I did about 6 months ago. But I've realized that my vocation, and it's been ongoing now for close to 5 years, but it really didn't start connecting until I reconnected to Christ in the Catholic Church, walking out the vocation of a single life and stopping the fight, stopping the longing for a partner and seeking and all of this, and started realizing that I am the bride of Christ and marrying my heart to him and the church. And I've actually opened up my opportunities to serve in the church, and I'm more available. I'm going to an outreach we're having tonight on a Wednesday night. And, so it's just a new thing for me, but I really, in the last probably 5-6 months, have realized that I have a vocation of walking out this single life right now. And if the Father has a partner for me in the future, awesome, but I've kind of just let it go and, just walking this out as a vocation. It really just is that scripture that reminded me that we are the bride of Christ. And, so it's just been a newer thing.
Yeah. But let me comment on a couple things, John. I'm so glad that you called back. It's so good to hear your voice. And let me just share something. I think since you have volunteered to offer your, services or commitment to some ministry work in the church, while you're in this time of being committed to the single life in a vocational way, please do whatever you can to support that ministry. And I'll tell you why. It is one of the forgotten areas, I believe, in how we serve the people in the church. I used to hear it all the time, John, as when I was a religious education director. How come you're not doing anything for the singles? How come all the dances are for couples? How come all the events are for husbands and wives and families? Why are you doing this with families and rosary making, but how about the single ministry? If you can offer help in that area, I know it would be very much appreciated by the group that is dedicated to the vocation of the single life. I know that because I have a lot of friends, my sister, a lot of people, and it's very unfortunate that we don't spend enough time with these wonderful groups of people that are able to give of their time beyond what the rest of us can do that have, commitments with families or with a spouse. What do you say to that, John, real quickly? And then Jerry has something to say.
Absolutely. No, I think that's extremely valid. I have already noticed in the last few months that being back in the Catholic Church, there was no listing for that type of ministry. A lot of bases are covered, a lot of wonderful things. And so I really appreciate the encouragement, because I'm going to put myself forward even this evening, and you're kind of nudging me in that direction, kind of Holy Spirit driven here. So I've been in leadership positions before in ministry over the years, over the decades, outside of the Catholic Church. But now that I'm back, I would love to do that, because, again, it's just my focus is so changed once I realized that I'm called to be single right now, that, it almost makes me tear up a little bit, because it's still, I think many of us do have that longing after being single now 5 years, that, that helpmate, that partner, and that's a good thing too. But I'm leaning into this vocation of a single life. So I appreciate the encouragement. I will step out in faith in that tonight and open up my mouth. So I appreciate that.
Well, and John, all I can add to what Debbie said and what your wise thoughts are as well is just be open. Everybody has a call to a single life at a certain point in their lives for a certain period of time in their lives, because we're not born married or born priests or anything like that. But your these longings on your heart to serve and to be in ministry and so forth, those are very strong indicators that God has something planned for you, a call for you of some kind. Is it priesthood? Is it God only knows at this point. It sounds like you're content to just take these on as a single person right now. But I would just say, just be open. It sounds like you are the type who will be definitely just keep your options open and keep your heart open for God to speak to you, John.
Absolutely. I love your guys' show. Like I said, just being new back in the church for 6 months, I tuned in, honestly, just found you guys in the 1190 here in Kansas City just about 2 months ago. And I'm a regular listener now, and it just really builds my faith. I'm in the construction industry. There's a lot of tough language and tough guys, and it's really softened me up on my drives. I'm driving now to a project, and where I used to just let my mind be filled, which is random, whatever, or sports radio, which nothing wrong with any of that. I'm feeding my spirit now during the day and during my travels, and it's really helping my walk. So thank you guys to Take Two team and everybody there. It's been
Well, thank you. We love you back, and that's wonderful. And you have a great radio network, Catholic radio network. You should contact. I think I might have shared this last time. You should contact them and see, because they have so many connections to various ministries throughout the diocese, and then across in other states as well. And I just think it's a wonderful network. So keep them in mind too, John.
I will, and I did follow up just briefly, and I know you guys got to move on, but I did drop an email to them right after you gave me that charge.
Good.
To get that testimony. I haven't heard back, but I'll give them a call. I'll give them a call.
Okay, and I'll call them too after the show, because I've got to talk to them too. So I'll call them too and remind them to get back to you. There you go.
Right,
Thanks, John.
Thanks. Yeah. Have a great day.
Yeah, I love that call. That was good. I remember it. I remember his testimony. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, very cool. Do you think that everyone has a vocation? Every single person? Yes. Okay.
Well,
I agree with you. I'm just wondering.
Means a vocation. Yeah, a vocation. Again, it gets back to God creates. He doesn't create for nothing. He doesn't just create people and say I don't have a plan or a purpose for you. So I'm not saying everybody has it's either marriage or priesthood or religious life. I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying I believe everybody has a calling from God, because God is the one who begets us. He creates us. He forms us in the womb. Before I formed you in the womb. Psalm 139. And so I do think everybody has a vocation to something.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think they have multiple vocations or just one primary one?
I don't know. I never thought about that either. But I would say probably one at a particular time in their life. Mm-hmm. Like I said, those who are not married but maybe still, open to being married or being a priest or religious or something, they happen to be single at the time, so their calling right now is to be single.
Sure.
But the ultimate calling that may sort of overlap that is maybe to be married. But most people are going to be married, obviously, as you know.
Interesting. Well, we do have a open phone line just for you. Want to talk about discerning a vocation, your vocation, somebody else's vocation. Maybe you're a spiritual director and you have helped other people with learning why God has called them in this certain area. It's very, very beautiful process. And so let's talk about it. 833-288-3986. That's 833-288-3986. And I know everybody's got their cell phone in hand, so it's a quick call, right, Jer?
As Debbie says, you don't have to pick up that phone. It's already in your hand. Katie, hang on in Pennsylvania. We're going to get to you next, and others as well here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. It is your show. It's no show without you. So talking about discerning a vocation today. How did you go about that? Maybe you're married, you got 10 kids, 100 grandkids, and happy, beautiful life in the married state. Tell us how you came to that conclusion, that vocation, and what a joy it's been for you. If you're in a priesthood or in the religious life, love to hear from you. If you're single, let us know how that's going. 833-288-3986.
The most original and exclusive Catholic content is on EWTN Radio.
I don't like looking back. I prefer to look forward and keep moving forward. There's plenty to cover. I do a lot of research and try to dig out the bits and pieces of a life or of an agenda that people don't want to talk about.
The World Over with Raymond Arroyo. Thursday night, 8 Eastern on EWTN Radio and Television.
Parents, when your kids seem really uncorrectable, it's not always coming from a place of belligerence. Sometimes it's coming from self-loathing, which studies show is more common among kids than ever before. And if that's their headspace, they're not fighting you. They're fighting the notion that they stink, and that this mess-up is just another proof of how messed up they are. With that in mind, one of my kids messed up really bad the other day, and instead of pointing out to her what she had done wrong, I decided to point out first how much I loved her, how much God loves her. I caught her off guard when I said, "You're good, you know. You're lovable. There's nothing wrong with you. You're going to be okay." I was amazed at how her guard went down and how easy it was to correct her behavior after that. Don't get me wrong, you need to set boundaries, but you might want to attack them with love first, and then correct them. You'll be amazed at how differently that can pan out sometimes. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com.
If you have the MyTuner app, you can listen to EWTN Radio's live stream. Open the MyTuner app and search EWTN.
Matt Swaim here. Tomorrow on the Sunrise Morning Show, it'll be 40 days since Easter, so we'll celebrate our Lord's ascension into heaven. Plus news, weather, sports, and more. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
We are glad that you are there, and we hope that you will join us by phone. Love to hear your voice on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, as we are talking today about discerning a vocation at 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986.
Okay, so we do need you to fill up those last phone lines and talk about vocation, your vocation story. You can tell us it. We'd love to hear the details. It's very important to us. It's not because we're nosy. It's really because we grow and learn together as the mystical body of Christ, and we're the Take Two family. So if you're listening, you're part of the family. 833-288-3986. Maybe you're in a line of work or a mission or something, and you're thinking, I need to process out of this and discern a new vocation. Let's talk about that, right, Jared? We can do that.
Yeah. Anything that has to do with your place in the world and God's calling in your life, 833-288-3986. As promised, Katie is in Reading, Pennsylvania, listening on the EWTN app. Hello, Katie.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. It's such a joy to talk to you.
Likewise. Thanks for calling.
Sure. I'm calling today because of the discernment topic. It's kind of timely in my own life. I'm in the process of discerning with an order, religious order, and I'm actually going to visit them again this weekend, which is why I think it's timely. So I'm mainly calling for prayers and I did apply to the order, and I'm kind of in the middle of the application process. And this weekend is a very important weekend to be interviewed and all that kind of stuff in the application process. So, so I'm calling for prayers for that. And I'm also not as old as 60s or 70s, but I'm in my 30s. And I was, long story short, just told to wait in my 20s in order to discern more in my life, and just kind of affirmation for that first caller who he said he was an alcoholic. And I wasn't, praise God, like an alcoholic, but there was some healing in my life that took place over those years that I had no idea that I needed healing for certain things. And now I'm back in my 30s and discerning again. It's going wonderfully. Obviously all in God's hands is still, but just affirmation, and any listener who might be like, am I too old? Am I, what's going on? Like, just trust in that. If you were told, I guess you can say no by Vocation director or anyone, just trust in that and take it to our Lord, because it's all in God's time.
Well, Katie, I'll let Jerry comment, but I just wanted to let you know I put you in the book, and we'll also ask the guardian angels as well. I'm sure you're doing that, to have the guardian angel. Your guardian angel is obviously with you as you go through this interview process and all the paperwork and everything. And I think it's lovely, the journey you've been on, because of that self-discovery, that healing that took place during that time. And now it's on your heart to pursue this. This is awesome. And thanks for sharing the details with us, but it doesn't end here. So we want to journey with you, just like we're journeying with Jerry in his formation process. So anything down the road that you can share with us, we would definitely appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I too just echo what Debbie said, Katie. God bless you. You will be in our prayers and the prayers of the entire Take Two family. And it's interesting, our stories are somewhat similar, because I look back and, I was hurtling headlong toward the priesthood from 89 to 95. And I just, I don't know that I fully understood the gravity of it, the beauty of it, the sublimity of the priesthood, the vocation. And I too needed a lot of healing. I look back now and I think it was a real grace. It was a real mercy on God's part to give me some time out of formation. I didn't think it would be 28 years, but but here I am back, and I think I'm in a much better place now. And so it sounds like you are in a good place too, Katie. And so we say more power to you, and lots of prayers will surround you each and every day. Just please know that.
Thank you. Yeah. And I didn't know our stories were that similar, Jerry, so thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Thank you for calling in. God bless you.
Yes, thank you, Katie. That was a great call. Now, Katie's going to free that line in just a moment, and you can pick it up at 833-288-3986 and share your vocation story. I love these stories. I think it just really gets people encouraged, inspired, and motivated. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is one of those nuts and bolts practical shows that a lot of people listening are going to maybe have a change of thinking, maybe a change of decision making in their lives. Who knows? And we'll pray for that.
Yeah. Okay, so we will go to Donna. Donna is in Toledo, Ohio, on our friends at Annunciation Radio. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna. Welcome.
Hi. My story is I started out as a nurse, and when I started having children, I had to make a decision. I just felt I either had to be more career-oriented or more family-oriented. And so I just decided right then and there to be more family-oriented, take care of my kids, and put my nursing career secondary. And then later on, after a couple kids, I was offered several times to go into management at work, and I really thought about it. And again, I went back to, nope, I need to be there for my kids. And my husband, my mom was sick, so I was spending a lot of time with her. And that's a decision I made more than 30 years ago, and it's really been the right decision for me.
Wow.
Yeah, well, the fact that you see that, Donna, as having been the right decision is a real, real gift from God. This, I'm going to call it a kind of a dilemma, this interior tug of war that a lot of people have to face between, choosing one path versus another, but either one of which would be very noble and worthwhile. But you chose the family, and at the time you chose the family path, there may have been thoughts in your mind like, gee, what am I giving up? What am I maybe never going to experience or whatever? But obviously, the vocation to motherhood, to being a wife and a mother, is very, very high on the list of vocations, and you chose a beautiful one there, and it sounds like God has indeed blessed you because of that. Debbie.
Well, and then go ahead, Donna.
No, I said I think so also.
Yeah, and your nursing background, I mean, I'm sure it came in handy with taking care of your mom, right?
Yes, and if I would have been more career-oriented, I think I would not have been available to take care of my mom as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
I've heard that. Yeah, go ahead. I've heard that often. I have to tell you, when I was caregiving for my mom, I would talk to a lot of other elderly folks, and their kids would come in, and so many of them were nurses. It was amazing. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I think it just goes with the territory of being a nurse. You're a caregiver all the way around.
Yep. Beautiful. Well, you've got a beautiful heart for family. I hope your children appreciated all you did.
Oh, they're awesome, and now they're awesome parents themselves. So I know I did the right thing when I see them echoing things that we said to them as growing up, and we just kind of chuckle to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Well, happy early Mother's Day. Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. You also. And I love your
you.
show. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks
we
so
love
much,
you
Donna.
back.
God
Thank
bless
you. Wow. Great call.
Yeah. Got a comment from Dorothy on the Facebook page, Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. Father Joshua Waltz has a vocation story worth listening to on YouTube. And I will add to that, Dorothy, as you know, he has a brother, Justin, who's also a priest. I think they're both in the Diocese of Bismarck, North Dakota. The Waltz brothers. Look them up. Joshua Waltz, W-A-L-T-Z, or his brother Justin. And I've had the great blessing of interviewing the two of them at one time. What a great story it is. Two blood brothers from the same family becoming priests. There was three brothers in the Milwaukee area that became priests as well.
I was hoping you'd bring them up. Yeah, aren't they? They're all three of them are priests, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And isn't there one that is like there's several priests and one's a religious sister?
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I just love stories like that. Okay, Melissa's up next, and Melissa's in San Antonio, Texas, on our friends at Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Melissa. Good morning. Hello. Go right ahead.
Hello. Hi. Yes, I love you guys so much. Thank you for continuing your vocation. I am a person in recovery. As a young person, I remember hearing the prodigal son and made a lot of choices in my life that kind of directed me to a lot of difficulties.
Melissa, we're having a little trouble hearing you. Forgive me for jumping in, but I want to hear every beautiful word you have to say, and you're a little bit cutting in and out there. I'm sorry about that. Are you on speakerphone?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. You have a way of getting on the phone, or are you driving right now? Oh, okay.
She might have taken it.
Call us back, please, because
I want to hear the story.
Yes, I want to hear too. Absolutely. The thing is, something you want to make sure that we can hear it clearly because it's going to be such an impactful phone call. So, Melissa, please call back. We'll put you right back on the air, I promise.
Well, and I know that a lot of folks are listening in the car and they want to call in, so they're on Bluetooth so they can drive and talk at the same time. Maybe it's safer to pull over safely to the side of the road and make your call that way. So, Melissa, I agree with Jerry. If you're listening, please call back. We'll push you to the front of the line. We want to hear the details of your story. And we love you back, Melissa, because you said such nice, kind words at the start of your call. But in the meantime, we'll go, Jerry, to Ryan. And Ryan is in Naples, Florida, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Debbie and Jerry. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, Ryan?
Good. I was curious. I'm a cradle Catholic, and then once I hit my 20s and 30s, kind of separated from the church, not for any specific reason. I just did my own thing with my career, and now that I'm in my mid-40s, for the past 4 or 5 years, I've come back to the church, and I've thought about pursuing becoming a deacon or a priest, and I just don't know if I have a career where I make decent money, but since I've been going back to church, I don't really feel the passion for my career that I used to. And I'm just happier in church, and I don't know if it's worth the risk to give up your house, and I just don't really know where to go from here.
I'm chuckling, Ryan, only because I've been through exactly those same feelings and emotions. It's interesting, when God puts a certain calling on our hearts, then a lot of the other things in our lives we don't dislike them, but the passion that we have for them, I think you were saying, can kind of wane a little bit.
Diminishes.
And that can diminish, yeah. And that can be a most definite sign that God is leading you in that other direction, because I was in the same situation when I initially went into priestly formation in 1989. I had the best job I had ever had in my life. And I thought, man, I could do this the rest of my life. This is fantastic. It was with a young, growing, large company. And, I prayed to God. I said, God, you've got to make one increase and one decrease. And a little bit over time, he certainly did that. And I made the choice back then. I don't regret it at all. I mean, I took all those years out of formation. But anyway, I'm rambling a lot, Ryan. But just to say that I've been there before. And Debbie, I know you can probably say it much more eloquently than I just did.
Well, no, I think it's. I'm glad you shared the details of your story, because I think that's one of the struggles that people have. Ryan, I was a spiritual director for many years, and I would help people as part of a team discern a vocation. I would very much suggest. I'm sure you probably have a spiritual director, but if you don't, please get one or two or three to process this with you, to make sure because if you're being drawn and like you said, you feel better when you're at church. I can totally relate to that. But I will tell you that I think the diaconate or priestly, the priesthood, there are so many creative ways now to be able to not have to walk away from everything, because deacons hold jobs outside of what they're doing in ministry work. And so there's so many creative ways. I just would really encourage you to get a team around you of people you trust, some friends, some lay leaders, spiritual directors, even possibly a coach or counselor to just really process this out, because obviously your heart's pulling you in one direction. And honestly, Ryan, you really should explore that, because if it's that strong, God always makes a way for some kind of ministry work to happen. What do you say to that? I'm sure you probably have heard this before from priests and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't have a spiritual director, and I don't even know really what's the best route to even start pursuing that.
Okay, perfect. So here's what you do. You belong to the parish near you, right, in Naples, Florida?
Yep.
Okay, go to the parish, go to the front desk. You can even go to the front desk and say, I'm looking to get a spiritual director. How do I go about doing that? They may say, well, we don't have anybody here that can take, people, and say, well, should I go to the diocese? Should I go to, where can you point me in the right direction? They always have places that you can contact. And then there's also, lay organizations, lay apostolates like Dan and Stephanie Burke's organization. And there's other apostolates out there that are doing fine work, helping people with spiritual direction. But I would start at your parish first. And why do I say that? Because online spiritual direction and meeting over Zoom is fantastic, but it's so much better when they know you at the parish level, because they know your routine, they know who you are, you're active there. So start at the parish. But if you get a closed door, because I will tell you, sometimes it's hard. That's why Dan and Stephanie Burke, I just went blank. It's spiritualdirection.com, I believe. Can you look it up real quickly, Jerry?
Sure.
Dan and Stephanie Burke. Jerry's going to look it up for you, Ryan. But the reason why a lot of parishes, there's kind of a closed door on spiritual direction is because there's not a lot of spiritual directors out there, and some priests, are so overloaded with the work that they need to do that they can't take it on. But don't take no for an answer, Ryan. Just keep saying, can you push me or point me in the right direction? Do you know of another priest or another parish nearby that is doing spiritual direction? And Jerry just told me it is spiritualdirection.com. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the online, spiritualdirection.com. That's Dan and Stephanie Burke's apostolate. They do a great job. But I don't know if that helps you, Ryan. I kind of gave you a lot of information in a short amount of time.
No, it does, and I'll look up that website, and then, I guess part of it is I feel like I'm afraid, if I go to the parish and start talking about this, I feel like I'll be committed to doing that, and I worry about that.
Right. Well, first of all, a spiritual direction is very confidential, very private. Now, people may talk, or there may be somebody. Oh, Ryan came in to make an appointment with the priest. Maybe he's coming in to do ministry work. I mean, that could happen. If you really feel that it, and you don't want that to, somehow be a stumbling block for you, go to a neighboring parish. Okay, you're Catholic. Go into any Catholic parish and walk in and say, I'm looking to get some spiritual direction. Point me in the right direction. And it's all confidential. So, so that's the good news. Does that help?
Great. Thank you both so much, very much. I'll definitely follow through with this.
Very good. Well, you'll be in our prayers, Ryan. You're in the prayer book now. So
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, lots of prayers for you, brother. Yeah, and I would say, Debbie, a concern. I know I want to mention something that I need to mention here in a minute, but just to kind of to finish off the comment about Ryan's call, a pastor is somebody who's probably going to know somebody best if you've been in the parish for any length of time. And I just remember my pastor, back in California. I absolutely went to him, when this resurgence of priestly thought came back to me. And one of the reasons I did is he has shared his story about how he ran from it for a long time himself. Mm-hmm. So I knew I had somebody there who understood, that, it's not, you're not roped into anything. So Ryan, if you're still listening, if no matter who you go to, if they try and pressure you and say, you're locked into this now because you're thinking about it or praying about it, you've got to find somebody else, because that is absolutely not the voice of God. A good spiritual director is going to listen to your heart as you express it. Mm-hmm. And then they are there to, kind of be little guideposts for you to kind of confirm what God is doing in your life. So,
right.
Yeah, don't be afraid to go to your pastor on that. But
yeah.
I wanted to mention. Go ahead.
And I know you're going to share with our listeners about some important announcements, but I just wanted to say real quickly, if Ryan is still listening, even if you trust a person, a lay leader at the church, who is very prayerful, goes to, mass regularly, daily mass, they can become a type of spiritual director as well. I've seen that work really, really well in various situations. So don't feel like I know there's a shortage of spiritual directors. I know. The reason why is I get calls all the time. Can you go back into spiritual direction? It's a lot of work, and you have to take a lot of time and attention with each person. And so it's really a beautiful, anointed, blessed process. But not everybody is called to it. So that's why if you have somebody you trust in the church, that could be a good person to have too. So.
I think it was St. Francis of Sales or one of the saints said a good spiritual director is 1 in 10,000. I don't think he meant 1 in 10,000 priests, probably just maybe 1 in 10,000 people. But his whole point was, it's a very delicate place to be someone's spiritual advisor is a very, it's an honored place to be, but it's also very important. Mother's Day coming up. Just want to mention, wouldn't be Mother's Day without who? Mother Angelica. Mm-hmm. This Sunday, we celebrate Mother's Day all day, EWTN style, with specials honoring our foundress, Mother Angelica. I had the chance to meet her a couple times. Debbie, I think you did, didn't you, at one of the Catholic radio conferences, or no? Did you not?
Do you know I missed the opportunity to spend time with her? Yes.
Okay.
I regret it every single day of my life, but go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, so many of us owe not just our livelihood to Mother Angelica, but maybe our spiritual lives, our vocations, our callings, our past. Just praise God for Mother Angelica. And so tune in on Mother's Day for specials featuring many of them, Mother Angelica, here on EWTN Global Catholic Radio.
I have to share this because it's so cute. Every time when you mention Mother's Day and Mother Angelica, and I miss her so very, very much. I watch the classics all the time. I watch YouTube on her, everything I can get on Mother Angelica. My mother got to meet her. My sister got to meet her, and I'm sort of jealous of that, but it's okay. They did, so that was good. But I asked Raymond Arroyo one time, and every time I think of Mother Angelica, I well up in tears. I said, Raymond, you knew her so well. I said, I never got to meet her. I said, would she have liked me? And he goes, oh, yes, she would have loved you. And that makes me feel so good. Now, I don't know if Raymond was just trying to make me feel good, but...
Well, it worked, whether he was or not.
It worked. So thank you. Raymond Arroyo, if you're listening, thank you. That was very sweet. Okay, Lindy is in South Dakota on Siouxland Catholic Radio. Lindy, welcome to the program.
Hi, I just wanted to comment on the earlier caller. My son is in the seminary, and he says they're continually trying to help you discern, and they have no interest in trying to convince you to be a priest. They're just trying to help you figure out if it's the best life for you. In fact, when he went in, he was kind of disappointed that he thought he had a calling. He was like, I guess I'm just going to have to offer my whole future to the faith and the Lord. But now he's just on fire for the faith, and it's such a joy. But a lot of his friends have dropped out, but it's just because they call it discerning out. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to give him confidence that it really is this assistance in discerning, because they don't want someone who's not right for it either. And it's a very joyful process.
It certainly is. I can speak from experience, Lindy. The first time I was in priestly formation, 1989 to 95, I was at a place just overall spiritually where I thought, you know what, I've discerned going into the seminary, that means this is God's will. If I don't follow through with this, I'm going to be out of God's will. I put so much pressure on myself. But Lindy, that pressure never came from the formators or the teachers or the rector or anybody. Like you said, they are there to help a man who's in the seminary discern, is God calling you to this? And that's why we have the lengthy process, Debbie, that we have of, it can be 8 or 9 years for someone who has not had college yet. So,
mm-hmm. And I like how you said it, Lindy, that some of his friends discerned out. There's no that's actually a healthy thing. If you discerned out, that's a good place that you're at. It's not like, oh, I didn't make it, I'm discerning out. No, it's actually that's how it works, because we're called to evolve and learn and grow and expand and to process at different levels of our life, and it's important that we don't rush it. So I like I like everything you've said, Lindy, and I think I definitely hope it helps Ryan and the others who are possibly looking into a vocation. I put your son in our book. You don't have to give us his name because to respect his privacy in seminary, but I put your son in our prayer book.
Oh, thank you. You were talking about Mother Angelica, and my daughter is at Our Lady of the Angels Monastery in Mother's Order.
So fantastic.
She likes Mother Angelica too.
What a blessed family you have, Lindy.
Yeah.
You as parents, you've done a fantastic job and of really having your kids be open to the calling of God and the grace of God. Thank you, Lindy. Mm-hmm. What a great point to end this conversation on. We're just seconds away from hearing the closing music here, but yes, thank you, Lindy, for the call.
Thank you, Lindy. That is amazing. I put your whole family in the prayer book. I wanted just to share on YouTube. Jerry, can we wave to YouTube, the ones that are doing the chat? Pam says, I hope that God will bring me his partner for me, but I have my moments. Sean says, a priest can keep his wealth, but a monk does not, right?
That's correct. Yeah, religious life, you typically take a vow of poverty. Diocesan priests do not take the same vow of poverty. They certainly want to be careful, and not accrue riches, because that can be a temptation. But you're right, a priest can have, $1 billion in the bank, a diocesan priest. Mm-hmm. And if he does, I hope that he's very generous with it in ministry.
Yeah, and real quickly, Pam, if you're still listening, pray specifically to God for that path for a soulmate. Okay, so Jerry, go right ahead, because I know tomorrow we got a lot coming up.
Well, tomorrow, can you truly forgive? We're going to talk about the notion of forgiveness, which is so important. It can be so difficult. It can take time. That's tomorrow. We want to thank the show team today, Matt, Charles, Michael. Thank you, affiliates, for carrying the show. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Life coaching has been around for many years, helping people with their relationships, careers, health, and finances. However, with Stand Tall, it's all